Hello, loved ones. This is Matt Stevens, and I am doing super fantastic and hoping that you are also doing super fantastic. And I wanted to talk with you a little bit about how, well, of course, I talk about the nature of reality. That's pretty much what it always revolves around. But I know that simulation theory is a big thing lately, and I get into it a lot myself. And then it's a lot of people ask the question, well, what do you mean by a simulation? Do you mean a computer simulation? I'm like, well, yeah, it could be. It doesn't necessarily have to be. No, there is the divine matrix. That is when the universal mind, the universal consciousness, or the creator or God had its big aha moment, the awakening, when it realized that it existed, when it became aware of self and said, wow, I am. And then in that infinite mind began creating, began imagining, having thought, it began having thoughts and having feelings and emotions and in imagining and subsequently by imagining began creating. And it created you and it created me. And we'll just go with an even billion. Let's just say 1 billion aspects of itself, all of which having experiences, all of which also co creating. At least in this realm, we are able to co create. Even if this were a computer simulation, one thing that we do know is that this realm is conducive to being a co creator. And even if this were a computer simulation, that does not mean that you are not, that you are just code. That does not mean any of that. I know that from personal experience. I mean, I'm just saying. I've had personal experience where I was in, for lack of a better term, I was in the quantum field, where everything is potentia, everything is possible. It's the place where everything manifests from. So but we like, well, how do we know if it's a computer simulation or if it's divine matrix? Here's what I do know. I do know that anything that could possibly exist will exist somewhere in the field. So somewhere in the field, computer simulation is going to happen. Somewhere in the field, we, aspects of the creator, divine sparks of the creator, are going to voluntarily put ourselves into these simulations so that we can have experiences. Because outside of this, when we look at from a much zoomed out look, when we are just mind in a pure state of being, when we look at it from that, that's great. It's like, yeah, I'm in a pure state of being, and in fact, in a lot of cases, life can be a little bit crazy, and we're like, man, that sounds so good. I would love to just be in a pure state of being. Just be. That's all. No craziness. Yeah, I know. It can be that way. However, there's really no way to grow. There's really no way to gain any experience. So we put ourselves in these situations. We put ourselves in a situation such as this, where we do have to experience time. We do experience beginning and end. We experience love. We experience loss. We experience everything that you are going to experience in your life. And all of those things are of the utmost importance. Kind of like what Rumi's quote tells us. The Rumi's quote that I bring up quite a bit. You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. What that means to you as an individual is it means that the creator or God is 100% invested in your experience. And in fact, your experience is just as important as anybody's. Because without you bringing your experience back, then the totality of existence will not be complete. Your existence or your experience must be added to the mix so that the totality of existence can happen. Now, when we're talking about computer simulation versus divine matrix, which is which, what is it? As I've said, anything that's possible, anything that is a potential will and must be experienced at some point. The only thing about this particular reality, and if it is a computer simulation, which there's a lot of evidence that would suggest that it is, from error correcting code embedded in everything, James Gates Jr., a very famous physicist, with his team were looking into string theory. And string theory is the theory the physicists are using to try to explain everything, to have to bring together all of the schools of thought. Anyway, James Gates Jr. and his team were looking into string theory and were dumbfounded when they found error correcting code embedded in everything. Error correcting code embedded into our universe. And that is, well, that would be very present and very necessary in a simulated environment. It would need to have error correcting code, so that what that means is that the construct would correct errors on the fly during while the simulation is running, so that it's like, oh wait, fix that, it gets fixed. It happens all the time. I'm certainly no computer nerd, but I mean, I've pretty much said that when I was talking about resets, such as like all the huge buildings that are found in Anytown, USA. Like you go to Anytown, USA, and you go to the courthouse there, and it's like, wow, that's amazing. Some humongous, granite structure that has 60 feet arched granite ceilings that was built in 2 years or 3 years or whatever in like the 1800s. It's like, how did they do that? They didn't have power equipment. They didn't have power tools, nothing. So they've got this huge elaborate courthouse and maybe a cathedral in Anytown, USA. Pretty much every city's got one. The courthouse with the huge granite structure and with such very fine detail in the decorative, just ornamental, like cherubs and Greek god Apollo and all this stuff. And it's like, so in 1850 they did all that, huh? That's pretty impressive, especially considering the fact that the schoolhouse was barely made out of logs and mud. I mean, really, they would build a schoolhouse and all of these other buildings out of logs and mud, but yet, yeah, when it comes to the courthouse, yeah, we've got to have that granite that's quarried from somewhere, hauled in somehow, hoisted some other way, and crafted some other way with chisels and hammers. Makes perfect sense. Yeah. So there is evidence of previous civilizations in this construct, in this, dare I say it, server. There's evidence of those civilizations having their run, building their buildings, and then a reset happening. And that's why, and I've said before, any nerd, any computer geek will tell you that if you reboot or wipe clean a computer, you'll always, if you know how and where to look, you'll always find evidence that that computer has been ran before, that computer has been used before. But I'm way off the subject. It's just fascinating to me. And it's also fascinating to me how anyone can expect us to really believe that. We can look at that huge, beautiful stone structure, stone building, and be like, yeah, this place was built in 1850. It took them 3 years to build it. I'm like, really? Because I'm not sure we could build that now, especially not in that short amount of time. And by the way, the rest of your buildings, they're all logs and mud. Just saying. So anyway, dear loved one, yes, there is evidence of this resets, which would be evidence of simulation, computer simulation. Okay, that doesn't mean anything. Your higher self on the outside would still have jacked into here voluntarily. And I know that some people will be like, well, you can't know that. You can't know you're not code. Yes, I can. Because I've had an experience where I was gone from here. It was very spontaneous. It only happened one time, but I am absolutely certain of what I saw. Can I prove it? No. That's one of the things about that kind of thing. It can't be proven. It's just a personal experience. I know what I saw, and that's all there is to it. So I'm aware of, I'm very aware of the fact that we do exist outside of this. You are mind outside of this. It's like, well, by the way, what is mind? Well, mind is what you're left with when you take away everything else. Strip away this avatar, this personality, these likes, dislikes, these interests, everything that makes up this physical version of you. Everything that makes up this physical version of you, take all that away. What you're left with is mind. That leaves you with who your true higher self really is. And that higher self is here for an experience, for the enlightenment, for the understanding. Maybe even to cure boredom. I mean, probably not. I mean, that's because even this is not even a blink of an eye when in terms of an 80 to 100 year lifetime. But anyway, it's funny to say, hey, even for a cure for boredom. But anyway, loved ones, by the way, since we're on the subject, because we're not, if you would, please hit the like button. I would so appreciate it if you would do that. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that. That'd be great. And share this video with someone if you think they might be interested in it. I would really appreciate it. Thank you. But mind is the only thing that we can be sure exists. I mean, I know some people who have a very materialist view will disagree with me on that. In fact, they'll be like, no. All we can be sure exists is solid matter. Yeah, well, we can also, solid matter is part of the illusion. Solid matter, it isn't there either. The only thing that we really know exists, or at least I do anyway, I should say. The only thing I can be certain exists is mind. And everything else, such as in the Vedic scriptures tell us, everything else is Maya. Maya is the illusion of the physical reality. So that's getting off into another subject. Maya is a fascinating subject, and it's not new. These concepts that's not new. It didn't just happen after the Matrix movies came out. Right? Simulacrum, for example, is a very old word. It's a very old Latin word. And also Maya, what was that, like 460 BC when the Vedic scriptures were written? And that's really just kind of speculated. I don't think anybody's certain when the concept of Maya was developed, but it certainly isn't new. So, yeah, there's lots of this theory of physicality being an illusion, this life being an illusion, that we exist outside of this, that mind is the only thing that really exists. It's like, well, yeah, but where is it? It's like, there is no where. The whole thing about where, meaning location, that's just something that we use in this construct. That's something that we have a hard time understanding while we're in this construct, while we are constrained by time, space, and distance. But when we really get out of this physical, that's when we really do realize, well, there is no where, is there? No, there is no where. It's just mind. It's like, well, where is your mind? It just is. That's all. It just is. A pure state of being. But, again, that's getting off subject. Hey, loved ones, I'm going to go. That's what I got. How about that? I do love you. I do. And if you would please by the way, put in the comments. That would be fantastic too. I do believe I'm going to start doing more live streams. That way I can get some interaction. I would love to hear what you think about the consciousness is fundamental, what my case against physicality is. For example, the Big Bang Theory. It's like, yeah, you're expecting us to believe that everything came from nothing. The only way that can happen is if it were programmed in. I'm just saying. So anyway, loved ones, that's what I got. I do love you, and I'll be back directly.